Welcome to the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, where we discuss everything you need to know about home inspection from A to Z. Brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina. We're here to share some success stories and some not so successful stories. Some things we can all learn from, and maybe, just maybe, we can help each other and raise the profession. So sit back, turn up the volume, and enjoy. Now, here's your host of the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, Preston Sandlin.
I always like to have guaranteed inspections. Well, now you can with InspectNewHomes.com. Owned and operated by the Home Inspector team. The only website that's designed for new builders and home inspectors to collaborate and work together. It's a grading system that grades new homes to increase the quality product of their homes. Bring the new builder something they've never had before. Quality inspection by a licensed home inspector at InspectNewHomes.com.
All right, listeners. Well, I have a special treat for you this morning, or whenever you're listening to this. But we're actually recording it on Sunday morning, and James has been so gracious to give us a little time this Sunday morning. I have James with Inspector Brotherhood on the line here for an interview. And, James, I'm going to let you say the last name. I forgot to ask you how to pronounce it because I don't want to slaughter it. But, James, what's the last name and how you doing this morning?
My last name is Gonte, G-O-N-T-E, and a lot of people don't know my middle name is Marvin, so it's James Marvin Gonte.
Awesome. I should have asked you that in the pre-interview. But believe it or not, that's what I thought. But I'm so bad at pronunciation, so I didn't want to mess it up. Well, James, for all you listeners who don't know, but most of you probably do because you're probably a member of Inspector Brotherhood, he has a forum or a group on Facebook, and it's awesome. It's one of the best ones out there. Inspectors can talk about things, ask questions, and there is a respect level. You know, we talked in the pre-interview, and we emailed each other a little bit. We both have the same, feeling that, keep it respectful. Don't beat up on anybody. Keep the profession high. And everybody was new starting out. But anyway, I'm talking, and I should let you talk, James. So tell us first. Go ahead.
No. I just wanted to clarify. A lot of people think Inspector Brotherhood is only James Gonte, and that's not true. This idea came from Raymond Ward, which he came up with the idea, and then he approached me last year. It's been already close to a year already, and he asked me, what I thought about this idea of Inspector Brotherhood. And I said it was great, and then we went to a conference, an introductory conference up in Orlando, and we met our third co-founder, which is Ramon Colon, out of Miami also. And so us three are handling Inspector Brotherhood, happily for the inspection community.
Awesome. So the three of you guys co-founded it. Now, the three of you guys are actually three separate companies?
Yes. Inspector Brotherhood is a group. It's not an organization. And the three co-founders, we own our own individual home inspection companies. Okay.
That's awesome. And you guys get along, and that's great. I mean, that's setting an example for the rest of us. Because, there's some inspectors don't get along so well with people in their own market. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, but something for some reason, we don't see it that way. We get along with everybody. We respect everybody. It's just the way we are here in South Florida.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and I think you're setting an example for the rest of us because, I've been trying to preach this. As an industry, we do need to stick together and look out for each other and raise the industry and. There's nothing to be won by cutting each other down, I guess, so to speak. But let me get into a little history, James. Tell us a little bit about you, because we'd like to get to know you personally.
All right. Well, I was born in Detroit, Michigan. I moved to Miami Beach, Florida in 1975.
Okay.
I went to high school, Miami Beach Senior High School, graduated in 85, so I am 50 years old already. midlife crisis already. I went to Miami-Dade Community College. I have 2 degrees. I have one in business administration and management. And my first job, I was believe it or not, I was a phys ed teacher for 4 years at a school called Biscayne Elementary School down in Miami Beach, Florida. And then from there, I used to work for Tandy Corporation, Radio Shack. I worked for Radio Shack for 10 years. I was a store manager. From there, I started in a dollar store. I purchased, I from scratch, I built up a dollar store, and I had that for like 11 years, and I sold it. And that's pretty, in a nutshell, what happened to me. And then back in 1992, I purchased an apartment building, a 48-unit apartment building.
Oh, wow.
And this is the way I got into home inspections. I hired an inspection company, and when they were doing their inspection, I noticed they weren't thorough. And I said to myself, what would happen if I would start an inspection company, be thorough, how successful would I be? And that's exactly what I did. I started inspecting since 1992, the same year I bought my apartment building.
Wow, awesome.
So that's how the history of me, James Gonte, really started in the inspection industry.
Awesome. Well, James, we have a couple of things in common. I'm right there with you. I turned 48 next month. I graduated in 1987, so I'm pretty close to your age.
Okay.
The second thing was I was a school teacher. I actually got out. I got a master's. Anyway, I taught elementary school for 3 years.
Wow.
And there's a lot of things. And I do have a question for you on that, but then I'll get back. Do you ever run into some of your former students? I've actually inspected their houses. A bunch of them are my friends on Facebook. Do you ever run into some of your former students? Yes,
a couple of times. More than one time. Hey, you were my phys ed teacher. Yeah. I know that's me.
Yeah.
But it's a great feeling, They thank you. The students thank you. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, well, I've got at least, 12 or 13 or so on my Facebook. They're my friends. And it's pretty cool. And they're all like, they're probably 28, 29, 30 now, I guess.
Wow.
And, I taught 3rd and 5th grade. But that's cool. That's cool. Well, so you bought this apartment building, and you did, and it's amazing how similar a lot of the interviews I have. Maybe not an apartment building, but they bought something and had it inspected, and they felt like that that they could maybe they could do it better, or it could be improved. So where did you go from there? Did you go to get training? And I know back in '92 it was kind of in its infancy. I think that our industry started in the '80s. So
correct.
How did you go from I want to do this to owning an inspection company? And fill in the blanks between.
Believe it or not, I really didn't seek out too many places to find out how to do inspections. I used to I'm also an investor, so I used to buy houses, fix them up, and rent them. So I have a lot of experience with construction. So back in 1992, there wasn't that many places, and I said, something? I could do this myself. So I started with my business cards. I started going to the real estate offices, started building up. The thing is, Florida got licensed in 2010.
Wow.
So we're really a new industry in the state of Florida that are licensed. The thing is, back then, there wasn't that much competition.
Right.
And something, I wasn't really an advocate of licensing in the state of Florida because I knew what would happen. More people will come into the industry. They'll do their 120 hours that are required in the state of Florida, take a state exam, and be out doing business. People think it's easy, and it's not easy. It's not just taking a test, going out there, and you're going to get tons of business. But when I started, it was easier. There was less competition. So I really enjoyed it when I started. And even now, business isn't like it used to be because of the competition. But something? We're still helping people. We want people to achieve success for themselves and for the family. and for our industry and our profession to grow. And that's what it's all about.
Right. Yeah, I got into inspecting a little bit after you. I started working for an inspecting company in the I think 95, 96, and then went out on my own in 99. And even back then, I mean, there wasn't that much competition. You basically would have some cards printed up and, go to a couple offices and pass them out, and the phone would ring. It takes a lot more than that now.
That's correct.
That just getting some business cards and passing them out doesn't work anymore. You got to do a lot more these days.
The best thing about me now is it's like repeat business. When you do good work, people remember that and they'll call you back. The phone will ring.
Awesome. Well, James, how do you handle today? Like, how do you handle your phone calls and scheduling? How does that work?
Well, I believe it or not, I don't have a secretary. I'm a one-man show. I love handling my own phone calls. The reason why is my background, like I said, is sales. So I know how to close the deal. The clients, when they call you, either the client calls you directly or the realtor on behalf of the client calls you directly. There's no better salesperson than the owner of the business. And home inspectors, a lot of people don't want to believe this, but we're owners of our own business.
Right.
So, so I'm the one who does all the scheduling. I'm the one who answers the questions. I'm the man.
Right. Let me ask you this, and I'm curious. How do you handle like a price shopper? And you can tell they're price shopping. Let's say I'm calling for an inspection, and my first question is, how much is it going to cost?
I go, when a person tells me, I go, sir, something, if you're asking me price and you don't care about quality, I'm not your inspector.
Wow, that's good.
And then they get shocked. Well, what do you mean about that? I go, sir, you're just asking me about price. I'm not about price. I'm about quality. I'm about service. I've been doing this for 25 years.
Oh,
it's not about price. How are you going to be making the largest investment of your life or the second largest investment of your life, depending how many times you bought houses before, and you're just concerned about the inspection price? Why don't you ask me about myself, my qualifications, how many years I've been in business? Why don't you ask me my license number?
Right.
My license number is 158. Why don't you ask the person that's lowballing you what their license is and their experience? I'll tell you mine, though.
No.
So I'm a salesperson. I know how to close the deals. I would say a good 80% of my phone calls, I close them.
That's good, man. That's good. And for all the listeners out there, I would recommend the same. Don't compete on price. Compete on value. But at the same time, always say positive things about yourself, but not negative things about the competition. But James.
Oh no, that's for sure.
James was awesome though. What he did was if you think back to what he said, he didn't say anything bad about the competition, but he said something good about himself, and he left that for their interpretation when he said, check out my license number, and ask the guy with the lesser. He didn't say anything bad about him. But
and also let them do their own due diligence.
Right.
I always tell them, Google my name, see what comes up. I'm a past, like here down in Florida, I'm a past board of director of the Florida Association of Building Inspectors. I tell them that. I'm also a qualified teacher at Miami-Dade College as a professor to teach home inspections. But currently I don't teach home inspections because I make more money doing inspections. The thing that I love to do is do inspections and be out in the public and protect my clients.
Awesome. Yeah, because when they do that research and they see you're 158 and the guy who's giving the lower price is 3,240,
right?
I mean, you're going to come to their own conclusion. Like, I always tell people, if you were, let's say this, buying your house is most people's biggest investment of their lives. Okay.
Right.
So think about this. If you were having your eyes, if you needed to have surgery on your eyes, would you want the best surgeon you could possibly get or the least expensive?
No, it's exactly it. I use the brain surgery one.
Right. No,
but we have the idea. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying the people that just got out of school are bad, but they don't have experience.
Right.
So what would you rather have? What would you rather have, the professor or would you have the student? Which one would you rather have?
the professor, obviously. but I do want to say for all the listeners out there, James and I were talking on the pre-call, we need to have love for people who are entering the profession, because we were all there once, and that's part of what he does on his Inspector Brotherhood that he co-founded with the other two guys, that there's a mutual respect in helping each other, because we were all new once. And, you know, I am very against when I see on some forums, you know, a guy asks a question and, you know, 3 or 4 guys just jump all over and beat him up, you know, make him feel like an idiot. And there's this, you know, number one, it's not professional. Number two, we were all new once. And, you know, none of us are going to live forever. James and I are both 50 years old. I'm not going to be doing this 40 years from now.
I hope not.
You know, that guy who's, you know, 23 right now might still be doing it. So, I mean, I feel like we have a responsibility to help others. And I mean, there were people who helped me, and I'm sure there were people who helped you. So,
sure.
Let's don't beat up on, you know, our brethren, and let's keep it professional. I always say, if you want to get paid like a professional, act like a professional.
Right.
But
we have to help. You know, this is a profession that should be united and not divided. We should help new inspectors and even seasoned inspectors. You know, sometimes the seasoned inspectors, you know, they forget. You know, we forget where we came from. You know, that doesn't happen to me or Inspector Brotherhood, because we know where we came from. We came from the bottom, the beginning.
Right.
So we're here to help out, you know, all inspectors, new and used, and, you know, experienced and seasoned. So we're here for all.
Well, and, you know, the other thing I've learned too, James, is because I have multi-inspectors, so I do have some of those younger guys. They know a lot more about technology than I do. and they can help me, you know, because, you know, I'm right at 50, and, you know, when I was in high school, we just had the computer with the 5.5-inch floppy disk and the orange and green LED screen. I don't know if you remember.
Right.
And nowadays, you know, the social media and all that. So, you know, there's stuff I can learn from them as well.
But you know something? Home inspections is about basics. It's about communication at the real estate level, at the insurance agent level, at the mortgage broker level, at real estate attorneys. See, what I notice about, you know, new inspectors that are very techy, and that's important. Technology is important, don't get me wrong. But they also have to have communication skills one-on-one. So when you're at the inspection, you know how to communicate with your buyer and the listing agent and the buyer's agent. And I see that's lacking in the industry.
Right.
Everybody likes to text, and people don't like to talk. And I like to talk, and I think that's what makes me have an advantage over the new inspectors also. We have to communicate, and it's all about communication. And it's not only about technology. Technology is great for your report writing, for thermal imaging, for other equipment like the crawl thing that goes underneath the crawl space and the drones and things like that. That's great. Those are added tools. But the one-on-one speaking to a client is invaluable. You need to know how to communicate in order to increase your business and your sales. Because home inspectors, like I said, you know, to you at the pre-interview thing, it's about sales. We're running a business. We're running a business to make money for our family and for ourselves, but we want to make the money ethically, correctly, and protect our client. Because the bottom line is we're here and we're hired from our client to protect our client on their biggest investment of their life.
100%. I agree. 100%. Well, James, are you a member of any associations? And if so, which ones and what are the benefits that you see?
Perfect. Yeah, the first one that I joined back in 2004 is FABI, the Florida Association of Building Inspectors, which I also was a board of directors for like 2 years. Another one is Internaci. I belong to Internaci also. I'm also an associate member of ASHI also. I also belong to another organization that's out in Boston, International. It's called the Independent Home Inspection Associations also. And Inspector Brotherhood is not an organization, but it's a group where we welcome all inspectors.
Awesome. What do you think there's benefits, some training, or obviously being able to talk to other guys? What sort of benefits do you get?
Well, right. With FABI, the best thing about FABI is they have conferences 4 times a year in the state of Florida, every quarter. That's where I get most of my CE credits, continuing education credits for the state of Florida. 14 is required in the state of Florida. Last year I had around 96 CE credits. So I do go to a lot of conferences. And FABI really puts on a good venue of speakers, professional speakers. We also have professional speakers in FABI that are members, that are also general contractors, electricians, plumbers, and sometimes they give presentations also. Internachi, online, you know what I mean? They're great. They have a lot of free stuff. I know Nick Ramico for years. Like I know Ralph Cabal, the president of FABI also. I always tell the younger people it's great to belong to an association, either nationally or local. The main thing is to belong to something. I've heard people say, James, the only association I belong to is Inspector Brotherhood. And I go, well, that's great. We're a group, but we're not an organization. You know what I mean? We do the best we can. Hopefully in Inspector Brotherhood, I want to try to roll out, and we want to try to roll out, the co-founders, probably chapters throughout the United States. We just picked up 30 members from Australia.
Wow.
So we're thinking, I was on vacation in Christmas up in my ranch house in Orlando, and I decided to post on Inspector Brotherhood a little meeting, like 4 days before I did it, to see how many people I could meet in Orlando, in Central Florida, that are Inspector Brotherhood members. And I come to find out, I was thinking 3 or 4 were going to show up. 12 showed up, and they were so happy to see me. They were so happy to see what we're doing to help the profession out. I was welcomed. I mean, it gave me a high like no other.
Right.
So we're trying to build chapters throughout the United States, God willing.
That's awesome. Well, and the thing I really like, there's in this profession, as you've seen, it's changed a lot. And a lot of these forums are getting better. But the one thing I really like about you guys is your genuine thing is to make the profession better. You're not selling anything. You're not, there's no underlying, buy my stuff. You guys are about trying to make it better, man, and I like that.
We're the real deal, man. We're the real deal. The only thing we do sell is Inspector Brotherhood hats, to show support for Inspector Brotherhood, but that's it. We don't charge fees or dues or anything like that. Yeah. And, and when we try to negotiate also with speakers. For example, we're having next month John McKenna, thermal imaging class for 2 days. Yeah, everybody out there is welcome. I negotiated a great price for 2 days, 16 Florida credits, CE credits, for only $299. So I like the negotiating part with some vendors that we have. And the best thing about Inspector Brotherhood, we allow all home inspectors, all home inspector associations, all home inspectors vendors, and all home inspectors groups. So that's what you find in Inspector Brotherhood. We're all there to help each other.
Awesome. Yeah, and I try to do the same thing with my podcast because I truly want to see the profession do better. I have little commercials for my flyers, but that just kind of helps me with some of these. I'm not making a ton, believe me, but it helps me with some of the hosting costs and that sort of thing. Well,
perfect.
James, do you have a success quote that you like or that you think that would be helpful to all the inspectors out there listening?
Well, something, my quote, and I have it in front of my desk, I'm looking at it now, and I thought about it when I used to work for Radio Shack, when I had like 20 salespeople. I ran the 5th store in the country, which was Aventura Mall in Aventura, Florida. My quote is whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to get the inspection done, whatever it takes to be successful legally and ethically, I'm going to do it. Oh. If I have to work 7 days a week, brother, I do it.
Right.
Sometimes I get criticized, James, you already have enough of this and enough of that. I go, you know something? I love what I do. When I'm on vacation, I enjoy. But when I'm back home in Miami, Florida, I'm focused on inspections. So if I get a call this morning to do an inspection on a Sunday, I'm there, brother. Yeah. The best thing about me is I don't mind because I'm not the cheapest one on the block.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would say I'm more high-end inspections, more expensive inspections. I also do commercial residentials. And also, for all the people out there, the key in business is to be diversified. Remember, diversification is very important in business. For example, somebody calls me for a home inspection. I'm also licensed in mold, lead, radon, and asbestos. So we're a full-service inspection company. If somebody needs a seawall inspection, I subcontract a marine contractor. If somebody needs a septic tank contractor, an inspection, we subcontract. So we could also subcontract other professionals to grow our business. And this is me thinking outside the box. I'm not square. I'm a round person.
That's a good lead into my next question. And you kind of answered this already. But let's say that I'm a buyer or real estate agent in the Miami market. I'm in the market to buy a house there. There are other home inspectors in your market. Why should I hire you? Is there something you do that others don't?
Because I'm pretty, brother. I'm pretty, man. Not only that I'm pretty, my business card has my picture on it. And when a person puts their picture on their business card, I represent my company.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why should they hire me? Based on my experience, my knowledge, the years in the industry, and my commitment to the industry, and my commitment to protect them.
Right.
The buyer. And that's who I work for. I know who I work for. I don't work for the realtor that referred me, but I do appreciate it. I'm not there to kill anybody's deal.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Like I always say, every house has its own DNA. And I use that line a lot. Every house has their own DNA, just like a human being. Every house is different, brother.
That's cool. I have to tell you, you said something about putting the picture on their card. You know, I know realtors have been doing this for years. And for a long time, I never put my picture on my card. I thought that's kind of vain. You know, I mean, that was my thinking. But then I finally figured out, you know, people remember faces. People remember faces. They don't remember names, but they remember faces. So I said, you know what? Yep, that's what I'm going to do. So I started putting my picture on my card, too, and it does work. Although, I will say, between you and me and everybody listening, have you ever got that realtor's card, and you're looking at the card, and the picture on the card, and you're looking at the realtor, and you're like, how long ago was this picture?
Well, the thing is, Preston, also, you know, I believe in sell yourself before you sell your service.
That's true.
So the first thing, when I go to a realtor's office and they see my picture on the card and it looks like me,
right?
You know, I mean, you got to sell yourself, man. We're a personable business. We're a service business. The people in the state of Florida, and I can only speak to the people in the state of Florida, there's no law that says that they need a home inspection, okay?
Right.
There's no law. So you have to sell yourself before you sell your product. We're in the service industry. We're not in the retail industry, okay?
Right.
So that's very important for the audience to remember that fact.
I'm totally with you. And also for the audience, I'm just picking about the cards. I'm not like being mean or anything. It's a glamour shot from the 80s. But,
well, there's statistics saying that if you give somebody a card with your picture, they wouldn't throw it away. They won't throw it away. I've heard that before.
Huh. Well, you know, I had I did a whole bunch of different ones. I had a card with all my inspectors on it, and then I had a picture with my two daughters because they used to go around with me marketing before they had to start school, and they had their cards, and those by far were the most popular. They were way cuter than my inspectors. So, you know,
it's the personal touch that you're giving. You know, you're a home inspector, but also you're a family man. You have daughters. You're a family man. We work for our family.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm going to combine these two questions, James. I used to ask what people did in their spare time, but I've come to find out a lot of people own their own business don't have a whole lot of spare time. But if you had spare time, what would you do? And tell us something most people don't know about you.
Hey, everybody that knows me, man, they know I'm on Facebook on Inspector Brotherhood trying to promote it and grow it. But besides that, I'm a cigar smoker. A lot of people don't know that. You know, I'm always out there, you know, smoking cigars, going to cigar events. So I am a cigar smoker. I do belong to the NRA. You know, I love my weapons. I love my guns. I like the Second Amendment. I like freedom of speech, and that's why I like also Inspector Brotherhood, that I like people, they're allowed to, you know, voice their opinions without disrespecting anybody online, you know, in our forum on Inspector Brotherhood. I enjoy my ranch house. I like peace and relaxation. My ranch house is in a rural area in Groveland, Florida. I'm a people person, you know. I love what I do. I help everybody that I can. You know, so I'm a well-rounded individual, very respectful, very helpful, you know. I think I'm a great guy. I think you have to interview my wife, man, after me, you know what I'm saying?
No, it's important, man. It's important. So if you can't look in the mirror and be happy with that guy, how can you go out and, you know.
You know, my profession has been really good to me, man, really good. And I want the new people to know, you know, when they get in this profession, you know, they're not going to make money immediately. They have to grow a business. We're businessmen and women out there also. You know what I mean? It takes time to grow a business. I've been doing this for 25 years. You know, in Inspector Brotherhood, you know, we mentor a lot of people. And what I notice about the new people that I'm mentoring on Inspector Brotherhood, they see how busy I am, and then they assume they're going to be busy like I am.
Right. It takes a while.
And I have to give them it takes years. It's not a while. It's years, man. Right. Especially in a market like Miami, where we have 4,000 licensed home inspectors in 3 counties, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So, you know, it's tough. The competition is tough. But remember, it's not always about price. Even if the consumer, the only thing the consumer has to compare me to someone else is price. And that's why they always say, what's the price? But then you have to open up the conversation a little bit more and explain the difference between you and your competitors.
Well, and you know, you know, the problem is you shouldn't compete, for all the listeners out there, don't compete on price, compete on value.
Right.
People say price, but what people really want deep down is the better value.
People want to be convinced. People want to be convinced. Why should I hire you? And you're going to have to give it to them.
Right. I mean, there's a reason why, like, say, Craftsman tools. You know, Sears. You say whatever you want about Sears, but they had good tools. Those Craftsman tools cost more because there was a forever guarantee. They lasted forever, and if it broke, they replaced it. I mean, no questions asked. Yeah, that was worth more. So they may cost more in the beginning, but over time they were better value.
Right.
Well, James, we've got one more question. We're up against the break here. You know as well as I do that if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an unhappy camper. How do you handle an unhappy camper? Do you have a process? What's that look like?
Well, you know something? The thing with me is I'm a great report writer. So when I do an inspection, you know, and I come back to my office to write the report, you know, I really know how to protect myself in the report. But you know something? There's a couple of cases that have happened to me, you know, and one of them that comes out clearly in my mind, I was doing a very big mansion, and it was a mansion in Miami Beach, and I was leaving the inspection. Everything was perfect. Okay, so the gates open up. They had gates in their house. It opens up. I'm going through, and my cell phone rings. So what does James do? He stops right there. He answers the phone, and by the time I look up, those gates smashed into my truck. And the gates broke. They broke. And then the seller comes out running. Look what you did to my gates. I go, sir, really, I understand how you feel, but we're licensed and insured. Please contact the person that installed it, and I will be more than happy to take care of it.
Right.
And that's how it went. It was like $1,000 that I paid out of pocket. So 4 weeks after that incident, I get a call. I go, you're gonna remember me. I'm the guy that, you know, you broke the gates after the inspection. You were so professional, and you didn't argue with me about the gates. Now I want to hire you to do my home inspection.
Nice.
And that's how it went down. Sometimes you have to lose in order to win.
I like that, man.
And another one that comes right to mind that happened recently, I was in a condominium. The electrical panel, I open up all electrical panels. No excuses. I have no excuse policy when it comes to electrical panel safety. That's just me. And we got to keep in mind also, each individual home inspector is responsible for their own report. So I don't like criticizing other inspectors how they do things or they don't do things. So I just want to put that out there. I was doing a condo inspection, and I noticed it was caulked, the panel. So I said to myself, okay, let me open up the panel. It was caulked or painted around it. Right. And I know better. I should have got my knife and, etched it around it, and I didn't. Okay? So I took out the 4 screws. I opened the panel like a hinge, and it was perfect. But then by accident, it dropped, and it ripped the drywall. Ugh. The buyer and the seller were there present, and I told them. They didn't notice what was happening because they were in the living room, whatever. So I brought them over and listen, this is what happened. I wanted to get into this electrical box to protect you, the buyer. I opened up the 4 screws. I did it like I always do, as a hinge, and then it slipped from my hand, and it broke the drywall. It tore the paper of the drywall. And then the buyer, the seller says to me, well, something, you just created damage. And on the contract, I'm not disputing that. I'm going to be more than happy to take care of that. Nice. And I took care of it. Because I should have known better. I should have scored the whole thing. And I should have done it the way I was trained. But that day, I don't know what happened. And things happen. Shit happens. We forget things sometimes. We take things for granted. But something, when it hurts your pocket, you won't do it again. That I guarantee you. And it cost me $300. It cost me the price of the inspection. But something? I keep on getting referrals. I keep on getting referrals from the same listing and buyer's agent just because I did the right thing. So everybody out there, just do the right thing.
Well, and like you said, sometimes you have to lose to win.
That's correct. Correct. And people forget that part. It's not always about winning. Sometimes you have to be a good loser, too.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I tell my guys, too, James? Like your example of the gate and the panel. You'll get burned on something, and you will never get burned on that exact same thing again. Because it'll stay in your mind. Correct. You'll get burned on something else, but that's how you become a seasoned inspector. And I always tell them, I said, this may sound harsh, but you know how they season meat? They beat it with a hammer and they rub salt in it. Becoming a seasoned inspector is no different.
Right. Right.
You're going to get beat up a little bit, but you're going to be a better inspector for it.
Well, it's all about business, man. You got to do the right thing, man. If you made a mistake, stand up like a man or a woman, and just take care of it. Take care of it.
Sure.
And it's not going to happen to you again. It makes you a better. And keep in mind, those people are looking at you to see your reaction.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and obviously, I know all the listeners could say, well, it wouldn't be my fault if the gate closed on it. It wouldn't be my fault. Well, you know what?
Stop making excuses. We got to stop making excuses and take responsibility for our action. We're in a person's house, and if we do something wrong or we break something, we got to be responsible, man. That's our reputation as an individual business owner and as a profession overall.
Yeah, well, and what I was going to say to that is step outside of your own shoes for a second and forget about, all your disclaimers and all that junk.
Right.
Step inside of the seller's shoes. If somebody came and inspected your house and now there's a big rip on the drywall beside the electrical panel, or they broke your gate, I mean, come on. I mean, common sense. They need to fix that. But, like you said, if they did fix it, you've turned a negative into a positive. You've turned a bad situation into a business opportunity.
Right.
And you did the right thing, like you said. Well, James, I want to get into some highs and lows, but we're up against the break, so let's pause a few seconds first.
Hey, home inspectors out there, I'm going to tell you a creative, inexpensive way to increase your business massively. go to homeinspectionflyers.com and get the flyers. You get 5 flyers a month. You customize them to yourself. They're turnkey, they're creative, and it's $29 a month for 5 flyers. That's less than $6 a flyer. And they are done by yours truly, Preston Sandlin. And I am a creative guy, especially when I don't take my medication. But I come up with some crazy stuff. It works for my business. I went from 1 inspector to 7 inspectors with this strategy alone. So again, for $29.95, you get 5 flyers. I do 1 per week. I send them off to get copied on the internet. I can get them for about 7 cents a piece, and I put them out in the boxes when I do my candy run. Works fantastic. homeinspectionflyers.com. Thanks.
You there?
Yeah, I lost you there for a second.
Let me. Did you get the part that I said? I'm from South Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. A1 Property Service Company. That's me, brother.
Okay, cool. Well, James, tell us about a time when you failed. Take us there, and what did you learn from it?
The time I failed.
Or
You know something? Failure is not in my vocabulary, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Failed in what sense would you say?
Well, all right. Tell us about a time when you had a big setback, and what did you learn from it?
A big setback, man. Oh, I'll tell you. When I was working for Radio Shack, I forgot what year it was, and my father-in-law had to get a quadruple bypass surgery in Puerto Rico, and I had to go down to Puerto Rico. I dropped everything I was doing. I went with my wife down to help her father run his business in Puerto Rico for like 6 months, and asked for a leave of absence with Radio Shack. And to keep my benefits, I was working only 1 day a week in Puerto Rico to keep my benefits and everything. But after the 6 months from Puerto Rico, when I came back to Florida, there wasn't a store available for me. I was already a 5-year store manager, and they put me as a salesperson in the meantime for me to start working until a store was available. My setback was I really saw the way corporate America treats their employees. You know what I mean? And I said, you know something? I'd rather be my own boss, own my own business, and have my destiny and my future in my hands and nobody else's hands. Right. So I saw a setback, the way they treated me when I got back here. I was running the top, 5 fish store in the country, and, corporate America doesn't treat their employees right all the time. And that's what happened to me. That was my setback, but it was also my motivation to be successful on my own.
Oh, that's great, James. That's great. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, have you had a I made it moment or I've come a long way moment?
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
On the other end of the spectrum, have you had one of those moments where you're like, man, I've come a long way?
You know something? Putting Inspector Brotherhood with my other 2 co-founders, made me realize that there's a lot of respect and love for me, for what we're doing at Inspector Brotherhood, and it's great feeling to give back. I just felt so welcome when I did that Orlando get-together, when 12 people showed up, when I thought maybe 2 or 3 were going to show up. It was like I made it, as a person, as an individual, as a professional in my industry, when other people recognize me for what we're doing on Inspector Brotherhood.
Awesome. And I think, if that would just happen in Orlando, like you said, what would happen nationwide? I think I think you've hit on something there that there's a need for, and I applaud you for it because, hey man, I like it. I'm thankful that you made me a part of it. Let me in as well.
Well, we don't want nobody to fall through the cracks. You know what I mean? And we offer things that associations can offer, and that's one-to-one conversations. I have people from all over the United States, even in Canada, give me a call directly. James, what do you think? This is happening to me. What do you think? So, we try to help people out, We try to help our brothers and sisters out that are out there in the field.
That's awesome. Well, James, do you have a favorite book you could recommend to our listeners? What's your favorite book?
You know something? I'm not a reader, I'm going to be honest with you. So I really don't have a favorite book, reading to me, was never, very popular, not even in school,
right?
No,
I'm right there with you. I have a suggestion though for all the listeners, and because I was not a reader either. That's my wife. I was where's the tip note? But one thing that I found that's awesome is Audible.com. And, we have a lot of windshield time because we're driving around to, this inspection, that inspection. So I call it Windshield University. Windshield University.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I didn't invent it. I wish I did. I stole that from somewhere else, and I'm not even sure where I stole it from. But, and I started listening to Audible.com. I think you can get 2 books a day. 2 books a month. And I want to say it's like $20 or $25 or something. But, try to get business books or something. But I just listen to them. You can also listen to podcasts. That was kind of my whole idea with this is that, hey, man, we have a lot of time, that we could listen to stuff. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. And I always said, man, I wish there was a podcast for home inspectors. And there wasn't one, so I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to make one.
Well, that's good, man. And yeah, you've been very good at it and very successful, and you did a great job.
Well, thank you. I wanted to replicate when you go to a association or meetings or conferences or whatever, that like conversation you have at the bar with another inspector. And not that the association was good too, and the meeting was good, but I always got just gold nuggets out of just, belly to belly talking to another inspector. And, and I thought, man, I wish we could replicate that so we could have that when we're driving down the road. and
believe it or not, some conferences, you learn more that way with sitting down with the boys, you know what I mean?
Right.
And the gals that are inspectors and sitting out, during the lunch table, and you just share ideas, what's happening. And that's what we do also. Like, that's exactly what I did in Orlando. We shared ideas. There wasn't an agenda. What's happening here in Central Florida with inspections? And they talk about price, and they talk about service, and they talk about this and that and this and that. And it's just, it's a networking among each other.
Absolutely. And it's, sometimes just that one gold nugget or that one idea is worth the price of airfare, hotel, everything. Because when you go back and put that idea into action, it winds up making or saving you, way more money than it costs you to go. So, I encourage everybody to go to your conferences, go to your things, go to those meetings, and join Inspector Brotherhood and listen to my podcast.
There you go.
A little bit self-serving there, but yeah. But all right. We're winding down here, James, and I appreciate you taking the time this Sunday morning. Have you ever been thrown under the bus by a contractor? I know I have. How do you handle this? Do you have any ideas of,
You know something? No. I honestly could say I've never been thrown underneath a bus, with a contractor, to be honest with you. My reports are pretty, very thorough. I have evidence. When I say something's wrong, I have the evidence to back it up, When I do a report, I always say, show, tell, and report. That's what we actually do out in the field, I never had a problem with a contractor. I'm a great communicator. I've had contractors call me and say, James, you said this was wrong. What do you think we should do? Then I said, well, I think we should do this, but ultimately you're the one who's responsible because you're a licensed contractor in that field.
Right.
So I suggest you look up the code book and do an appropriate repair.
Let me
those calls I get.
A variation of that, and even if you haven't got this call, I'll tell you the call that many of us get is maybe something that you don't expect, like they've taken the HVAC system apart, or they've opened up a wall, HGTV style, of course, that great inspector who, can see through walls. And anyway, the contractor says, your inspector should have seen, even though it's behind drywall, that's the call we get. My contractor says you should have seen XYZ, and you and I both know there's no way without tearing open a wall that you could have seen that. But for whatever reason, sometimes the buyer believes the last person in or whatever. How do you handle that conversation?
Well, number one, I say I'm not Clark Kent that I could see through walls. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know something. And also, this is why it's important when you're doing your inspection, and the place is full of furniture and stored items. You want to click some pictures. You know what I mean? And areas that you couldn't access, you might want to click a picture, not necessarily to put in your report, but to have the picture just in case that there was a big hole behind a piece of furniture that wasn't visible at the time and date of inspection. Because remember, when we do a visual inspection, we don't do destructive inspections. We don't rip things apart. Now, obviously, if the house is empty and you keep an order, this is what I teach when I mentor somebody in Inspector Brotherhood, you must keep an order and be disciplined when you do your inspection, and don't let anybody interrupt you so you don't miss anything. So in an empty house or an empty condo or whatever the case may be, and there's no furniture or stored items, there's no reason to miss anything. That's number one. Now, when somebody lives in the house and there are stored items and furniture, it's what's visual at the time and date of inspection. And also in my report, I put a price to do the walkthrough when the house is empty.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good.
Okay, and this way, I'm making more money to increase my sales, but also I'm protecting myself. Because the first thing when a person would ever call me and say, James, you missed that hole. I go, well, number one, it wasn't visible. I have the picture. Let me show it to you. And also, I put in my report, if you would have read page 3, it says you should have called me to hire me back to do the walkthrough inspection when everything was visible. You chose not to, or you chose not to read the report to find that in there. And unfortunately, we have no responsibility with that.
Awesome.
And that's it. So the report really, for people to know out there, the report, it's for the client, and we work for the client. They pay us for the report. But really, the report, we make the report to protect ourselves, if we have to, against our client.
Yeah.
And if people think like that when they do the report writing, when they go back to their offices and write up the report, you're actually writing a report for the client that's paying you, but the report is really for you to protect yourself against the client if problems arise.
Right.
And I've always had that approach. And in 25 years, I've never been sued or demand letter. And that speaks a lot.
Wow, that is good. That's really good. James,
Yeah.
what we started doing, too, is we started wearing GoPros. I think of it as a dashboard cam with the police, and we just run the thing, the entire thing. So just like you said, so we have running proof of the condition of the house when we inspected it, because so many things happen afterwards. There's movers, there's, contractors in there, and, something gets broken or missed or whatever. Like you said, it was wall-to-wall furniture, and bookshelves and stuff, and now, there's some big water stain on the wall that, there's no way we could have seen. It's obvious when it's vacant now, but there was a big bookshelf there. So, and I'm sure you've seen it too. People have gotten a little bit crazier and more litigious over time, I think.
Right. Well, because everybody wants to sue everybody and recover thousands of dollars, and you know what I mean? But, that's a good idea with the GoPro thing. But how far are we going to take this also? How far are we going to take this? See, by doing that, you're also protecting yourself against your client. You know what I'm saying? So how far are we going to take it? That's a good idea, though. I never thought about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, what I do is with all my guys, I'll either I do a deal where I'll give them $100 towards buying a GoPro with a head thing. Depending on which one you get, you can get them from $200 to $500, or you can get a knockoff one for like $100. But it's theirs. They keep it because people will take better care of stuff if it's theirs. They can use it on vacation. I don't care. But keep an extra battery and just run it. And then when you get home, when you write the report, just throw it. Man, you can get a 3 terabyte hard drive now for like $89. I mean, just
Right.
throw it on there, and it may seem like a little bit of extra work, but man, that one time, and it's happened, where they come back after you for $2,500, and you've got that video, and you can go back, and the thing about the GoPro, it has 180 degree, you're going to see the whole entire house. If you look at everything, it's there. And, termite damage, a year later, it was not there, and we had it in the video. This is what the baseboard looked like when we were there,
You always, also back to the video, I hope you ask the seller permission to videotape their house. You have to be careful with that also.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that. I'm not
so you got to be.
We always do if they're there, but we don't 100%. But I kind of think of it as like, because what's happened is sellers get crazy now too. I haven't been doing it quite as long as you, but pretty close.
Okay.
Back in the day, that's been a phenomenon in the last 5-7 years where sellers coming after you now for whatever reason, saying you broke something, and I was like, that never happened before. And, so now it's like I'm going to the dashboard cam like cops have, because, it turns into a he said, she said. Well, let's roll the tape.
Well, but something, if that would ever arise to me, I go, well, show me the proof. Did you see me?
Right.
How many other inspectors were in that house inspecting that house when it was on the market? How many people walked through this house? So I would really make a lot of doubt on the seller part. Of course, honestly, if you did it, the damage, you have to pay the price.
Oh, yeah. And for all our listeners out there, if you miss something, pay for it. Step right up, just like you did. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about crazy people here. Like, I didn't have anything to do with that. It was fine when I was there. But here's another tip that I had, James, and I hope I'm not overposed, but it made me think of it.
No.
When you, I'm assuming you and probably most all the listeners go over their findings at the end. We go through all the pictures on our computer. We used to go on the camera but that camera screen's like 2 inches, and we do it on the computer screen. We show them, and what we started doing is doing a screencast-o-matic on that. So we have proof of what we showed them and what we said. Because if you do this long enough or you get big enough, sooner or later you'll come into a thing where they'll say, well, the inspector didn't tell me about that. Or the inspector told me that wasn't a big deal. And I know that's a lie. I know I'm like, my God, that's everybody's individual. What's important to you might not be as important to somebody with a 3-year-old kid or
that's correct.
Or vice versa.
That's correct.
That loose handrail to somebody with a 3-year-old or that missing spindle may be the biggest thing to them because they have a 3-year-old. Now you're looking at that going, I can fix that in no time because you're a contractor and you don't have kids.
Right.
So I can't make that. So anyway, what I'm getting at, same thing. It saves you, because you can go back and say, well, that's not exactly what he said. This is what he said.
Well, here's something. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. For my experience, I really don't talk much during an inspection, and at the end, I only tell them if there's life-threatening hazards.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really don't talk much during my inspection. Everything will be in my report and released in my report. I don't even do summaries. I want my clients to read the entire report, so I don't do even summaries.
That's good. I may get to that because now it's like, I can't tell you how many times we get a call back, and it was on the report, but they're saying that you didn't tell them it was bad, how bad it was or something.
Right. My statistics in my company, 80% of my clients do not read the report. They read the report when there's a problem, and then when they ask me the problem, I ask them, did you read the report? Then they say, yeah, sure I did. Then I go, turn to page 14. What did I write about that air conditioner system? I recommended replacement.
Yeah.
For example. You know what I mean? So 80% of the people do not read the report. They read the report when a problem arises. And hopefully you do good report writing to protect yourself.
I totally agree with you. And then, it turns, I know everybody's rolling their eyes when I say this, but I'm just telling you, so they'll call, and of course I always tell people, just have empathy, because a lot of times they call you about an inspection you did a month ago. So you're riding down the road, you're kind of deer in the headlights, and a lot of my inspectors will just take word for word that they said, they'll tell them it's not in the report. and they believe it. And I'm going to tell you, James, probably 5 out of 7 times it actually is in the report. They're just saying that. You go back, and it is in the report. So,
right.
And then, I'll call back, and you always nice them to death. I mean, we're Southern. I'm sorry you're having this problem. But if you look at page so-and-so, and they'll be like, oh, in the old days, they would be like, well, that's pretty much the end of it. But now it's like, well, it was in the report, but you didn't emphasize how important it was. And I'm like, I said,
well, if it's in the report, it has to be important if it's noted as a deficiency. Like in Florida, like down here in Dade Bar and Palm Beach, it's a standard of care, not the standard of practice, but the standard of care to include prices of repair and replacement costs in our reports.
Oh, wow. Well, in ours, like a roof, it said, well, he said in 4 different places, have a licensed contractor roof. Well, I just thought you were trying to protect yourself. That's what. Well, you thought that, but that's not what it says.
Right.
So anyway, let's go with something a little funnier. We're almost done here.
Okay.
James, now this is a lighter question, but keep in mind it's a G-rated show when you answer this. What is the wildest, weirdest, or craziest thing you have ever found on a home inspection?
Something that comes to mind. The first inspection that I ever did, it was a duplex. Okay. I was on the roof, and there was trees growing on the roof.
Wow.
That must have been the most strangest thing that I've ever seen. My first inspection, I'll never forget it. I go up on the roof, and there's plants and trees growing from the roof up.
Wow.
And that sticks in my mind.
Don't you wish, because I know, all right, so that was probably back, you said you started in the early 90s, and I was mid-90s.
Right.
Don't you wish you had pictures and film of some of this stuff? Because back then, we were taking Polaroids. They were $1 a shot. I have it in my memory, but I wish I had, don't you, the internet didn't exist in the way that it does today with videos and all that. But I wish I had video or pictures of some of this stuff I saw way back. Because it cost too much money, or there just wasn't a reason to do it back then.
No, what we used to do is we used to write reports by hand. We should take notes. There's no, we didn't use cameras. It was too expensive, as you said. And then, our report writing was by hand, really.
Exactly. Well, James, we're coming down to the last 3 questions here. Is there anything you're working on right now that has you jacked up or excited about?
Anything? No, not really. I when business is slow, I always go back to basics to market my business and to increase sales. Anything exciting in my business? No. On Inspector Brotherhood, plenty.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, the marketing part leads to my next question. Okay.
Good.
Let's say that you had to move to a brand new town equal to the size of Miami. It wouldn't be many, but you had to start all over. Now, you still had all your equipment, all your knowledge, room and board taken care of, but you had $5,000 to start marketing in a town where nobody knows you, but it's equal to about the same size. What would you do with that $5,000 to get yourself?
I would do a couple of things. Number one, I would make business cards with my picture, with my lovely picture. I would probably make I would probably make some brochures. Okay. And I would personally go around to all the real estate offices in the area that I'm going to be doing inspections. I might also join maybe like a B&I group or a Chamber of Commerce group to get exposure.
Right.
A budget of $5,000 really isn't that much money for marketing, believe it or not. But I would start it out. I would do one-on-one. I would go introduce myself to the real estate offices, say, listen, I'm an inspector. If you ever need an inspection or if you ever need me to give a presentation about inspections and to educate the realtors about inspections, I'm here, available for you. So I would start out baby steps, and that's what I always tell new inspectors also. You got to start out in baby steps, one-on-one.
Good stuff. Well, James, is there anything that I should have asked you or that I didn't ask you that I should have?
No, I think you asked me everything. I think we covered everything, I'm really happy with this interview. I really enjoyed myself.
Awesome. No, I'm glad we finally, behind the scenes, we went back and forth trying to coordinate it, but it's all good. It was destined to happen, and I'm glad it did, because I think we're very like-minded about home inspections. So, James, I want to appreciate you taking the time and the value that you dropped here today. So, for all the listeners out there who got some value out of this, and I know you did, let's give James some value back. How can they help you? And what I mean by, can they go to your Facebook page and give you some likes, or join Inspector Brotherhood if they haven't already? So,
sure.
tell us how to do that. Yeah,
the first thing is I want everybody out there, all the inspectors out there, or Inspector Vendors Associations or inspector groups on Facebook, to please join Inspector Brotherhood on Facebook. Let's help, the inspection industry grow professionally, ethically, respectfully. That's number one. Also on the Facebook page for my business, like A1 Property Service Company. Give me some likes there, A1 Property Service Company. And that's it, really. And also, I want to really, if anybody out there has any questions for me directly, I'm more than happy. Let me give you my number. I'll even give my number live. It's not a problem. It's 786-512-1594. If anybody has any questions about Inspector Brotherhood, or if I could help anybody out, I'm more than happy to help all my brothers and sisters out there.
Awesome, James. You have been awesome. So as a recap, join Inspector Brotherhood on Facebook. And
right.
Go to A1. It's A1 Property Inspections in Miami. That's
no. It's friends who like A1 Property Service Company.
Okay, and give this guy some likes, because he has certainly given us all some value, and we appreciate your time, James. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Have a good Sunday, brother.
You too, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Guys, I want to talk to you about a way that you can make more money and less liability. Actually, no liability. InspectNewHomes.com. InspectNewHomes.com. What happened is one of the largest builders in our market came to us and wanted us to do all the pre-inspections on all of their new homes. But they didn't want us to use just our normal reporting software. They wanted a system set up specifically for a builder so that they could do quality control on their subs, and they could also advertise that all their homes were inspected by a third party. So we came up with this software, this system, a website, a whole turnkey thing where you can take this and take it to your builder and show them how you can save them time, save them money, reduce the adversarial relationship. And it's a whole new market. You will not have to compete with other home inspectors for this market, and it reduces the adversarial relationship with the builder, and best of all, there's no liability. So I'm telling you, it is great. It's phenomenal. I'd love to tell you the amount of money we've made with this system, a lot, but you're welcome to check it out, InspectNewHomes.com, or on the Successful Home Inspector podcast, you can, there's a tab on there as well. All right, if you would like to make some more money with almost no liability, check out InspectNewHomes.com.
Thanks for checking out the Successful Home Inspector podcast. You can find show links at thesuccessfulhomeinspector.com. Check out the website for special offers, information, and other resources. Thanks again for listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast. And remember to check back for new episodes. The Successful Home Inspector podcast is brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina.